Commissioner Sankey, if you open with a word of prayer.
Good morning to each of you. It's beginning to look a lot like Christmas, sound a lot like Christmas. You all seem to be very, very happy. I suppose Santa Claus has promised to give you whatever it is that's on your list. In any event, let us pray. The Bible declares that on the night that Jesus was born, the angels sang, and they sang all night, and I imagine that was very, very melodious sound, and it brought peace and joy to the hearts of those who perhaps had been suffering. And so, Father, we come before you now in the name of Jesus. We thank you for this another day. We thank you for this time of the year, a season of joy and peace. We thank you for this county commission, for all the administrative staff and those who serve the citizens. We thank you for the citizens and their interest in government. And we just ask that you would be with us this day, and may the joy and peace of this season rest, rule, and abide in our hearts all year long. God bless you. Amen.
Florence?
Good morning. First, we'll go over our visitors for today. We'll hear first from City County Emergency Management Agency, Sheriff Derek Cunningham, County Engineer George Speak, and District Attorney Darrell Bailey. We'll start with EMA.
Good morning.
Good morning.
As of this morning, we have 35,009 confirmed cases in the county, which is 176 confirmed cases since December 10th. We have 789 deaths. There has not been any change in that. We are at a substantial rating right now. As far as the vaccination, we have had 94,495 totally completed the vaccination, which is 41% of the county. Those are the numbers as of right now. The vaccination numbers do change on Tuesdays and Thursdays as far as an update. So we'll wait, and we will send out the COVID report this afternoon with the updated vaccination.
Any Omicron detected in this county?
Not in this county, sir. As of right now, as of 2 days ago, we were told there has only been one confirmed case in the state.
Where in the state, you know?
No, sir, I do not. Thank you.
Next, we'll go over the items to be considered at the formal session. We will start with items number 3 through 6 are resolutions regarding resurfacing of roads. Would you like to vote to omnibus those items?
Please.
Items 7 through 11 are resolutions approving the relocation of polling places. Again, would you like to vote to omnibus those items?
Yes, ma'am, please.
Item number 12 is consider a memorandum of understanding to reimburse the Administrative Office of Courts for certain salary and fringe benefits paid by AOC to a full-time court referee. Consider a contract with Crosby Drinkard Group for 2022 governmental affairs representation and consulting services. Consider to recognize and deny a claim regarding Willie McLean. Consider to recognize and deny a claim regarding Robin Baldwin. Consider miscellaneous appropriations to agencies. Does anyone have any additions? Consider miscellaneous appropriations to education. Are there any additions? Consider miscellaneous appropriations from designated revenue.
Mr. Vice, I have a question regarding one of the items that's on the designated revenue. And I don't know if we discussed this beforehand, 5,000 to River Region United Way. Because normally the procedure is to talk about who we're going to contribute to during the meeting. So I'm just wondering, how did that get on the agenda before discussion?
They came a long while back,
Yeah.
right? They come every year and we give them $5,000 every year. So I remember the day they came and we loosely discussed it, but.
But we coincided with the county employee drive.
Right.
All right. I was just curious about that.
Consider a bid award to Stevens Construction and Concrete to furnish crushed stone for the engineering department. Consider a bid award to Drug Testing Program Management, Inc. for drug lab services for community corrections. Consider hiring an IT specialist network infrastructure at pay grade A11, step 6 for information systems. Consider a position fill request for the county commission for a county attorney. Consider a position fill request for the detention facility for a corrections officer trainee. Consider a position fill request for the engineering department for a master auto mechanic. Consider an unbudgeted position fill request for information systems for an IT specialist in systems. Consider a position fill request for the sheriff's office for a deputy sheriff trainee. Consider a position fill request for the youth facility detention for a juvenile detention officer. Consider travel training requests for appraisal, the detention facility, and engineering. With regard to travel requests, you've got a sign-up sheet for the NACO conference in Washington in February. If you would please indicate whether you want to go to that so we can submit a travel at the next meeting.
Where's that sign-up sheet?
The sheet's down here.
Those are all our items to be considered in the formal session. Also, at your place, there should be a schedule of Camellia Bowl events this week. Commissioner Harris wanted to share with you the ACCA legislative platform, so there's a copy of that. And we will have an executive session that hopefully we can carry out between the information session and formal session.
And thank you to Commissioner Harris for providing that and attending that conference in Birmingham. On the Camellia Bowl tonight at 5:30, there will be the head coach's press conference. At that time, the county will be making a presentation if anybody wants to be at that. It's at the Union Station Visitor Center. It's something they do every year with the coaches. I will be there. If somebody wants to join me there, I would love to have you.
I'll be there. Mr. Chairman, back up a little bit to the Alabama County platform from the ACCA. Please become familiar with it, with our goals for the quadrennial and some of the legislation that we're going to be opposing, some we're going to be proposing, proponents of. I'd like for you to kind of be familiar with it and expect a call from me whenever it becomes necessary for us to contact our local, a member of our local delegation to help us out on these.
And thank you.
You either get a text or a call from me.
Okay. And thank you again, because you've kind of taken the lead on this and represented us in Montgomery County and has done a fabulous job protecting us and advising us on different policies that the ACCA has for us. So thank you again, Dan, for doing that. All right, Florence, I guess we're ready for attendees.
Yes, first we'll hear from Sheriff Cunningham.
You got a tie on today. You always wear a tie.
He is presenting item number 2. There's a recommendation from the Personnel Department to implement an updated process for the Deputy Sheriff Lateral Hires Program.
Oh, okay. You beat me to it, Florence. Oh, good morning to everybody that I didn't speak to this morning. Y'all, good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you, okay. Yeah, that's that lateral hiring. We're just trying to get it coincide to the pay raise we got And that's something that city county personnel had made that recommendation, so I'm just bringing it to you.
Any questions?
Next agenda.
All right.
And you also have a bid award to Industry Standard for inmate food service.
Yeah, no, that we just had two bids, our current provider and this one came back with better rates.
Any discussion? Next agenda?
That's it.
That's all.
You look nice today with that tie, too. You don't normally wear a tie, do you?
Well, I got to go to the city council meeting tonight. They're going to give me a,
You get dressed up for their meeting.
no, they're presenting me something tonight, so they wanted me to be there. So I dressed up. We won the best float contest in the Christmas parade. Yeah, we're getting $1,500. So I got to go get a check. So I'm going over there. I had to look good when I walk up there to get the check.
Wasn't the probate office in that parade, too?
Yeah, they were in front of us, and I made sure he was several floats in front of us, so I didn't want his float to mess up mine.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I forgot, the DA had one too.
We'll expect that check in the general fund.
You laughed a little too hard at that, Sheriff.
Next, we'll hear from George Speak.
Good morning. This future agenda item number 4, that's our annual Rebuild Alabama report, which basically just gives a status on the projects that were in our FY 2021 transportation plan. So we've completed all those projects. There's about 20 miles of road, about $1.9 million out of RA funds. And according to the statute, this would need to be on the first meeting in January the 4th, for a presentation approved by the commission. So. And any questions? That's all we got.
Any questions on that? The next agenda.
All right, thank you.
Before we hear from our district attorney, if we could run through the rest of these items. We have a waived rule item to consider, which is a resolution declaring January 9th, 2022 in Montgomery County as Reverend Gary Porter Burton Day.
I think you're all familiar with Dr. Porter. He'll be at,
Dr. Burton.
Dr. Burton. Well, actually, not a doctor, but Reverend Burton. 50 years at Pentlaw Baptist. He'll be celebrating his 50th year there at the church. And he had tried to get in touch with Chairman Dean, and the ladies in his office had tried to get in touch with Chairman Dean. If we would just do a proclamation saying January, that's Sunday's Dr. Burton, Mr. Burton Day in Montgomery County. Any objection to that? Yeah, the resolution would be coming around to sign on that.
Item number 5 is an amendment to the contract with Montgomery Armored Car Service for armored car services for tax and audit and probate. Does anyone have any questions?
Next agenda.
Item 6 is amendment number 2 to a contract with Amwaste LLC for the Clean Saturday refuse collection services.
Any questions? Any objection? Next agenda.
Item 7 is the final pay application to Holly Henley Builders for Montgomery County Annex 1, the second floor renovations. Those are the renovations for IT, engineering, the lobby.
What item is that?
Item number 7.
One of these items didn't have the amount on there. How much was that?
$134,244.95. Is that the final payment, Florence?
Yes, that's the final installment.
Installment.
I mean, the final pay, they are paid, you know, as the work goes on. This will complete the project and is the final amount they will be paid.
So, okay. I don't know why I'm having trouble getting mine.
Can that go on the next agenda?
Yes, please.
And item number 8 is to consider the 2022 Montgomery County cleanup days.
Florence, was there a change, there's a change in the final cleanup day for this month, in this year, right? And it's-
Right.
It's gonna be when?
It was,
Because it falls on
It's-
Saturday, and that's,
it was this past Saturday.
okay, that's what I.
That's what we did for Thanksgiving and Christmas with
Yeah.
those.
Yeah, because Christmas and New Year's Day falls on
It's this is scheduled for the
last
final
Saturday.
Saturday.
Yeah, exactly. So, okay, next agenda.
Now we can hear from Mr. Bailey.
You know, we delayed you because you're normally long-winded, you know that, don't you?
I'm an attorney.
Yeah.
Actually, I'm a prosecutor. I don't claim to be an attorney. Y'all, for future meetings, gonna have to separate me and the sheriff and the probate judge. I felt like I was back in grade school there for a second. I'm here on a extremely serious topic. We have had an unprecedented homicide rate in the city of Montgomery. Not only the rate, but the number of cases that are pending because of the pandemic. Our jury trials were pretty much shut down for the better part of 2019, almost all of, 2020 and almost all of 2021. We do expect, at my urging and lobbying for the judges to get to trying these jury trials next year. We have actually significantly increased the number of jury trials scheduled over even pre-pandemic. So there's going to be a lot of jury trials going on. They have promised me that those murder cases are going to be prioritized. But just to give you an idea of what we're looking at, right now we have 236 homicides pending in our office right now. Those are waiting to either go to grand jury or waiting to go to trial. We, every year, I do a count at the end of the year, and we're not quite there yet, but I went ahead and did it last night. I get information every time we have a shooting in the city of Montgomery. And I counted all of those, and as of yesterday when I counted, we had 444 people shot in the city of Montgomery this year. Year's not over yet. We actually had one about 1 o'clock this morning, so now it's 445 people shot. My office is responsible for prosecuting all of those cases. We just had a grand jury where 1,136 cases were presented to the Montgomery County Grand Jury. Those are felony cases. A lot of shootings were presented, a lot of homicides were presented to that grand jury. Currently, we have 5 slots to prosecute our homicide cases. If you divide the 236 by those 5, that comes out to about 47 cases per homicide prosecutor. I just looked up the National District Attorneys Association and the American Association of Prosecutors. They recommend that homicide prosecutors have no more than 15 cases assigned to them at any given time. And as you can tell, we're way over that number. Unfortunately, this is going to keep getting worse because we can try, in my opinion, about 3 to 4 homicide cases in a jury trial week. But my experience has shown me that we're having those number of homicides in a typical week. And so we're really losing ground a lot of times. We tried 3 cases some point this year, 3 homicide cases, and we had 4 homicides in the week that we were trying those 3 homicide cases. So it's very perplexing to me how we're going to deal with this. We're trying to figure out the best way to deal with it, but I'm coming to you to ask for another violent crime prosecutor. I think that is something I really have to have. I think it's a necessity. If you want to help with violent crime, I think that's a great way to do it. I need more. I need probably a lot more prosecutors than that, but as you know, through the goodwill of the county, y'all pay 50% of a prosecutor, and then I have to come up with the other 50%. And I would love to come for you and ask for more prosecutors, because I think I could justify it, and I think we need it. But unfortunately, I can't find that money from the state, and I'm still looking for the money to try to fund that extra position anyway. So, saying all of that, I am coming before you asking for a violent crime prosecutor to help with this. I will say that y'all have been extremely kind and helpful to the district attorney's office. I talked to Danny Carr, who is the district attorney in Birmingham. He's going through the same thing. He told me, have 44 prosecutors, where we have 14 prosecutors handling just felony cases, and then he has 44 handling felonies and homicides. So he is going before his county commission at the first of the year to ask for the same thing. It's also happening in Mobile. It's also happening, I believe, in Tuscaloosa and across the state. So I do appreciate everything that y'all have done so far. I also appreciate, and I do want to mention, the letter that you sent asking for a bail increase that was sent to the Alabama Supreme Court by you. I did get a call from a Supreme Court justice last week or week before last, I can't remember now, who advised me that your letter was particularly swaying with several of the justices. Their comment was that they had never received a letter from a county commission on a criminal justice issue, and they thought that was extremely important. The indication that I got was that our request is going to be approved. We're waiting on a final order from the Alabama Supreme Court before we can announce anything, but I do appreciate your efforts in that. And this is just another piece. It takes probably I'm not going to say that, it probably takes 3 to 4 weeks for us to get ready on a homicide case. When you're dealing with a homicide case, it could be up to 100 witnesses. These witnesses that are critical to the case, when we narrow it down, it's about 20 to 25 witnesses. But as you can imagine, the day that the crime happens, most people are cooperative and want to tell you what happened and et cetera. But when it comes time, a year, 2, 3 years later, to try these cases, they're nowhere to be found. And we have to send our investigators out to convince these individuals to come to court, honor the subpoena, and come and tell the truth. And that's an extremely difficult job. But then it takes a week to 2 weeks to try these cases. Only having 5 prosecutors, we have 6 circuit court judges that are trying these cases. It puts us behind. It limits the number of cases that we can try. I think Sheriff Cunningham will tell you, the jail population right now is homicide defendants, which it should be. I mean, I agree with that. But it's only going to keep getting worse if we can't prosecute these cases and put them in the Alabama prisons. So I'm coming before you asking for that slot. Your share of that, since you would only be paying somewhere around 50%, is, I lost my figure here, is $45,877.76.
Darryl, one question, or two questions, really. The holdup on trying these cases has not been in your office, right?
That is correct.
It's been in the judges' chambers?
Well, I'm not going
Yeah, but.
I'm not going to blame the judges. They will say it's due to the pandemic, and
Okay.
I understand that, but it has not been in my office. That is correct.
But you feel confident if we have the staff that they will have the trials going forward, even though with the virus and everything else? That's my concern is.
Sure.
Is,
Are they going to do their part?
yeah, I mean,
And I can't answer
if
that.
we had 20 more prosecutors,
Yeah.
would it make a difference if they're not going to try the cases?
Yeah, and I can't
That's my
answer that.
question.
Now, I will say this. The jury calendar that we have for next year is a lot of jury trials.
Yeah.
Basically, we're having 2 trials every month, sometimes 3 trials, jury trial weeks a month, and then we also have to have grand jury in that. But
I guess.
Every indication that I've gotten is full steam ahead. And I've talked,
Same here.
after several
Yeah.
conversations.
Good news, yeah.
So
And I believe
my-
that.
My understanding is we are back to, not just full, Stephen, but even more to try to take care of these cases. We just need to know if they decide to change that suddenly and abruptly like they did the past year and a half. Now, I don't know how we can expect that communication to go, but as of now, I think we're in a good place. It just needs to hold.
Yeah,
There are two things.
yes.
I know in civil matters, you, 90+% of the cases end up settling. How many of these cases, what's the percentage of pleading in these cases other than
On
trial?
homicide cases, it's probably less than 10%.
Criminals, huh?
Yeah, on homicide cases, it's probably less than 10%.
And most of them go to trial?
Yeah, you are correct on the other type of cases, non-homicide cases. Most of those wind up settling, thank goodness, because with the thousands and thousands of cases we have, there's no way we could try them.
Yeah,
But with homicide cases, because of the potential penalty, the potential sentence, a lot of these are capital murder cases, which are either the death penalty or life without parole. They're not going to plead guilty to those.
The other thing, as a member of Montgomery Thrives, and we're dealing with this American Rescue Plan funds, I'm going to suggest, I'm a member of the Public Safety Committee, Subcommittee, and it seems that this backlog and the additional murders and this additional violence is associated with the pandemic. I'm going to suggest that you put together a proposal for that subcommittee to consider.
I'd love to, yeah.
As that might be a way that we might be able to help.
Yeah, because the other, and I know I've talked to Commissioner Walker about this recently, but the other issue that we have, and this is nothing that you guys can really deal with, but is the pay for these prosecutors. Because not only are we saddling them with 47 homicides per attorney, we're paying them way below what other state agencies and what, of course, private firms would pay. And so you've got high-stress jobs, which leads to high turnover. We just lost a 20-year homicide prosecutor to the Attorney General's office. Less cases, less stress, more money.
I can't understand why your organization can't get with our organization and with that kind of pressure, put it on the legislature. These are state employees. They need to get paid. We don't need to be raising state employees' salaries, even though you're working in our county. And that's a part of one of the goals of the ACCA is to keep, number one, keep unfunded mandates from coming down and taking, and then and putting responsibilities on the county to pay for state employees. We're trying to avoid that and stop that. But we understand we have to help you, but that's the push and pull. And I think that at some point we need to come together with our legislative delegation, your association, the county, the ACCA, and put together a strong piece of legislation and a lobbying effort to get something done, to get you paid, because we can't do it.
I agree.
I mean, we have to pay the sheriff department. We got to pay. I mean, and they're all county employees. So we have to put some emphasis on that, because what we're doing, and I'm fully, I support your office. I support what you're doing. I understand we need all the tools that are available, and I'm willing to make them available. But at the same time, once you put somebody on, that's,
It is. I wish I could sit here and tell you I think the state's this legislative year, going to turn around and actually fund the state agency that we have. But I doubt they will. They may give us an extra, few $1,000s. What they do is throw it at us. But we are the only state agency that I'm aware of that has to go and raise its own funds, which is what we're asked to do. I mean, y'all are kind enough to support our budget, and I'm very thankful for that. But it's not, even with y'all's help, we still have to go out and raise our own funds. We can't do what we do just with y'all's help and with the state.
and that's wrong.
It is wrong.
I mean, how can you ask somebody who's going to prosecute to go out and beg for money?
And the flip
You might-
side
you
of
might
it
have
is
to-
if
you
you
might have
were,
to- What are you gonna do if you have to prosecute one of the people you're begging from? I mean,
absolutely.
you shouldn't, if you're a prosecutor or you're a judge or you're in those, you shouldn't have to ask the people, potential people that you're gonna be prosecuting for funds. I mean, it just sets it up
It
for
absolutely
corruption.
does.
It's wrong.
It is wrong.
But what I'm saying is, you know, and I don't see this effort to get that changed at the level that I think it should be.
It is on our part
We're
because
not
I'm
doing it.
there.
It's never come up. I bring it up, but it's not one of the things. I don't even know if your association even attends our meetings.
I don't know about that, but I do know our association is constantly lobbying the legislature. As a matter of fact, I can tell you one of those conversations, what happened. It was with Dale Marsh. I don't mind calling him out because I was there and I heard the conversation. His response when we asked him to do this, when he was the leader, is he said, "We have given you the opportunity to raise your own money by collecting fees from the criminals. Go do your job." Now, you are an attorney. How much money do you, or how successful do you think we are in collecting money to pay our salaries and to pay what we have in our office from criminals?
I know better.
Yeah, but that's his
But-
response.
But see, it's stronger with 67 counties.
I agree.
See, we have the Engineer Association, the Administrators Association, all these associations that attend our meetings and come in and help us to come together and decide what we're gonna do, and we help them. That's the kind of effort I think it's gonna take. It's gonna take a 67 county kind of effort to move that, because this, in my mind, that's wrong.
Yeah, now I will say this, and I don't know if the other county commissions would just step in just because, to help out, but you're only gonna find county commissions supporting DA's offices in your major cities.
Yeah,
So-
but through the ACC, we speak with one voice.
Okay, that's
All
good,
six- all
yeah.
six- That's what that's about. You might not, your county might not agree with this particular issue, but we're speaking with one voice on that issue, the majority, and that's what I'm saying. That's what it's gonna take.
Well,
because
as soon as I leave today,
know-
I'll make arrangements for our association to get with the County Commission Association, and we'll do that.
All right. You know, because I know judges, most judges, you know, they're reluctant to even order criminals to pay these fines. All they gotta do is say, I don't work, I don't have the money, and, you know, which, you know, I understand that, because we don't lock people up anymore because they don't have money.
I understand it too.
No more
Yeah.
poorhouses. But still, so that's making it more difficult for you to try to raise money in that manner. That's wrong.
Because what they do is they run a spreadsheet of how much uncollected money is out there. And they say, all right, here's all the which is millions, as you can imagine, and here's your money, go collect it. But you're exactly right,
Just
we
like-
can't collect that.
Getting $1 million judgment against me. You just got a worthless piece of paper. 'Cause-
Yeah,
Daryl, I have a question.
sure.
The violent crime statistics for Montgomery are staggering, and you mentioned 445 shootings in Montgomery to date. Can you compare the other major metro areas in Alabama with Montgomery, and how, I mean, are they as in dire straits as we are, or are they not as bad as we are? Give me a comparison.
I can tell you Jefferson County is probably a little worse than us.
Well,
But,
per capita.
yeah, so, we are probably per capita in the lead on that. Yeah. You know, I know Madison County is dealing with a surge in violent cases. I've talked to their district attorney recently. But nothing like I mean, they're considering a surge is like 25, 30 homicides in a year. And as you know, they're
That's significant.
bigger
still.
population than we are.
Wow. So everyone is seeing a surge, but we're still,
Even our rural
Out front.
counties are seeing a surge, yeah.
okay.
I mean, we just had 3 or 4 people shot in Troy. I don't know, yeah,
Yeah, I saw
recently.
that.
It's everywhere. And that's, we're working on that. I know that the sheriff and I and the interim chief of police have been meeting regularly, to go to your point, Dan. We have been, 3 meetings now, where we have had all the chiefs and all the sheriffs and all the DAs come together. We just met last week in Prattville to talk about legislative issues, and part of the gang legislation, the bail issue. We do have a piece of gun legislation that we're going to be proposing. I know we've talked about So there's a lot of good things that are coming out of the three of us, and, you know, even the pistol permits. We're all on the same board, and we're gonna go up there as one to the legislature this year and ask for these things. So part of that can be funding, but as you know, when we start getting into funding, that can get a little fractured, but. That's true.
I know he's with you on the gun thing.
Yeah, good meeting with us on the gang issue and all
Yeah.
the issues that we've been having.
I mean, we're stronger,
Meeting on the fifth, I think he'll probably send it out to you all today.
we're stronger together like that.
We are. There's no doubt about it.
And Sheriff and DA, y'all please continue, and you always do, to keep us in the loop. I think it is a great testament to the effectiveness that all 5 county commissioners signed on to that letter, and it moved the needle. We want to do more things like that to support this issue. So when y'all have something that we can support or consider, please continue to let us know.
How you doing, man? Say it again? I am good, man. I appreciate it, man. I appreciate that, Dan.
One other thing that I did forget to mention is this number that I gave you, 236, does not count in the unsolved cases that we have. And we're currently working close to 80 of those unsolved cases right now. And we do have prosecutors that have to be involved in those. So,
Darrell, is this a position that you're proposing to the county commission to fund at 50%? It's the state position, correct?
that is correct.
Okay.
Yeah, and as you know, there's a local law that, and Florence may be able, or Cheryl may be able to tell you more about it than I can, but there's a local law that says that I have to come to you to get these positions approved, and then y'all are responsible for a certain percentage of those salaries once you approve it.
Is this position you asked for in the budget before?
I'm sorry?
Did you ask for this position in the budget this year?
Yeah, I think Azzy, Chief Deputy Taylor, was here to ask for that. I was at a national meeting, actually getting an award for our Helping Families, a national award for our Helping Families Open Doors program, and was unable to be here. But I know I've talked to some of you individually. The reason I haven't pushed that issue is because I knew jury trials were not going on in 2021. So there's no sense in y'all paying for a position when I knew we weren't going to be trying cases. So I waited to the end of the year, 1, to see what our homicide rate would be, but 2, to see where we were on jury trials, and it's fixing to hit the fan.
Did you give us a number of how much you said that it would cost?
45.
45,000.
Yeah, it's, I don't know why I'm having trouble. $45,877.76.
I don't know if it's the same position, but we did approve one new position that's in the budget for the, funding 1/2, we did add one.
Was it a prosecutor? You don't remember?
Oh.
I thought we
okay.
added one and
I
denied.
I think
one.
it was a DDDA 2.
We did add one.
So Darrell, when
Yes.
Commissioner Harris has asked you to present a proposal to Montgomery Thrive, at least to the Public Safety Committee. Would you prepare that in a manner to give it to the state as well? Because the state of
Absolutely.
Alabama has $2.1 billion from the American Rescue Plan. And I know if the governor is proposing spending $400 million for prisons, then she is strong on crime. And the state of Alabama is required to have a written performance plan for how they're going to spend the money. And I think maybe your office should explore how they plan to address crime at the state level with the $2.1 billion.
Yeah, I'm happy to go anywhere. If you can get me into an audience, I'll be happy to present that. I started to bring you, and I just figured you guys, I didn't want to overload it, but there's some videos that Chief Harris has been showing us in our meetings, our joint meetings, of gunshots in the city of Montgomery. One of those was about 100 rounds shot in a neighborhood with shell casings laid around, and you can just hear on this, I guess it's on YouTube video now, or Facebook video, just pop, 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 pop. Unbelievable. It's a war zone in the city of Montgomery right now. So yeah, I'd be happy to.
And my impression is, and the impression of a lot of people in Montgomery, the criminals are not fearful of repercussions from the law for a variety of reasons. I know that it's a difficult issue and it's a complex issue, but obviously they don't have any concerns about getting in trouble and getting caught, going to jail, because they continue to do it and continue to do it and continue to do it.
Well, you're 100% correct, and that's part of the reason I think violent crime is up, is because we haven't been prosecuting these individuals and there's no consequence. Used to, I mean, pre-pandemic, we prosecute someone, they go to prison for life or life without parole. That message is all over WSFA, the advertiser, social media. People see that and they go, ooh, maybe they think twice about pulling that trigger. Now they see the person who shot someone and killed someone probably right back out on the streets and
Correct.
no consequences.
Even, yeah, law enforcement will catch them, but then they don't stay locked up, and it's a problem.
That is a
And
problem.
this is a multi-pronged issue with law enforcement, the district attorney, and the judges. And we have to have all three legs of that stool in working together to move the needle on this. It's more
Absolutely.
complex than, we got to start when these children are in preschool. I get that. But if they're not afraid of getting in trouble, this is not going to stop. It's not going to abate. We've got to make sure that our law enforcement catches them, which you guys do, and then they stay in jail if they are shooting people, if they are killing people. And right now, we're not doing that, so it's a free-for-all.
I agree, and that's one of the reasons we were pushing the whole bail issue.
Yeah.
That's part of it.
It's one tool in the toolbox that we need, and there are
It's
other
an important tool,
policies that
yeah.
need to change and need to be enforced. We need to enforce the laws that are already on the books, one, and two, we need to strengthen some of the laws.
I agree.
Anyway, talk is cheap,
Yep.
and I'm not speaking to
I
you.
know you're not. I know exactly what you're speaking of. Well, thank y'all. Is that something we could put on the next agenda? This request?
I'm fine with that, but meanwhile, we need to, like Commissioner Harris says, we need to consider, get us the Thrive proposal also. But I'm fine with putting it on the next agenda for conversation, just, to make sure it stays there, and, we need to talk about this and make a decision.
I just
Okay.
find it hard to believe that the state, you don't have, the DA doesn't have the liaison to deal with the state legislature.
We do have a liaison. We do have lobbyists that deal with them, but again, I don't know if you've ever been up to the legislature and tried to lobby issues. They're very, very much, out of touch. And there's only a few people that are in power up at the legislature.
But those ARPA funds are not part of the state budget. That's money that they did not anticipate, and crime is certainly reducing crime is permissible use for that money. So I can't believe that they're telling you they're not going to give you any.
Well, no, they haven't told us that.
Okay.
No. I don't want to mislead you and say that they have told us that we're not getting any of the COVID funds. They have not told us that. But we haven't had an opportunity to go and present a case for that either. So, thank y'all very much. Again, Merry Christmas, and I wish all of y'all a Happy New Year.
Thank you, Darrell.
In your packet is a letter from Tyrone Means requesting that we meet in executive session concerning pending legal matters and the good name and character of an individual. Is there a motion to go into the executive session?
Second.
All in favor, please say aye.
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 So that was unanimously approved.
Yes.
All four commissioners who are present. And we will recess to the formal session following the executive session.
Yes.